The critical path, as far as Microsoft Project is concerned, is made up of those tasks that are critical. Now, a task is classed as critical if, by its moving at all, it affects the final completion date. And by moving, that could be delay or finishing early. So any task that directly affects the finishing date of the project is classed as a critical task. The path that takes you through your project and through those critical tasks is called the critical path. Now, in your normal Gantt chart, you cannot see which tasks are critical and what the critical path is. But you can if you change to one of the other views. Now, one of those views we've already seen is the network diagram. So if I take the mybedroom.mpp file and change to the network diagram, I can see the critical tasks because they are the ones that are in red. And what a surprise, pretty much all of our tasks, except that prep room milestone, which is in blue, are in red. And the furniture milestone is also in blue. So all, or pretty much nearly all of our tasks in the My Bedroom file are critical. Now, if you're not keen on the network diagram, and I'm not because of its size and its width, and the fact that you cannot see things in a time element, then what you can view is the detailed Gantt. Now, the detailed Gantt is available not in the immediate list here, but if you come down to More Views and choose Detailed Gantt, these views are stored alphabetically, then Apply. The detailed Gantt is pretty much like the Gantt chart, except the table columns are slightly different. We do have the task name, task mode, duration, start and finish, but there's an extra column called the leveling delay, and you actually see the successor number here, not the predecessor. But the main changes are in the actual Gantt chart itself, where you can see any critical tasks are displayed in red, as they are on the network diagram, but now they're the right relative length, but still red. And we can see on here that all of our tasks are pretty much critical. If there's any slack at all in the system, that's then displayed as a day element. So we've got 0.15 days there, 5 days there, and that's it as far as slack goes. So this is the only bit of slack we have in the system at all between that milestone there, which is prep the room milestone, and then the start of this task here for erecting a new bed. Now, if we look at another of your working files, which is actually My Bedroom 2, this has got a few more tasks and a slightly different structure in that we've done all the purchasing as a separate group here at the beginning, and then the other tasks are pretty much the same. But what you'll find here, if we go to the detailed Gantt, and it's now on this built-in list because we've chosen it. So the first time you do it, you'll need to go to More Views. After that, it will be here as an option. And you'll find that we now have a set of tasks that are not critical, all the purchasing ones. They're all blue. And there's a lot more slack. There's a slack in select and buy paint of a day spare, 2 days spare for buying the wallpaper, nearly 4 days for that whole section, and then 12.4 days before they're actually needed, which is down here when you're putting the bed up. So that first section are non-critical. They can have some delay in them to some degree and still quite happily meet the current end date. But these tasks cannot slip at all. If any of these slip, they will affect the project completion date. So that's how you view the critical path and what the critical path is. It's made up of all your critical tasks. And by using the detailed Gantt, not only do we see the critical path because they're in red, but we can also see any slack in the system where you've got a little bit of freedom perhaps to move things around or an extra bit of time to do some of the tasks. And we see this extra information using the detailed Gantt. Now, at any time, you can always go back to the normal Gantt chart with the drop-down Gantt chart because it's the same data. We effectively are just looking at a different graphical representation of that data that allows you to distinguish between critical and non-critical tasks.